Mannix's 1968 Dodge Dart GTS wasn't just another detective's ride. This muscle car became television's most frequently crashed vehicle, destroyed and rebuilt more times than any other TV car in history. Mike Connors drove it through 8 seasons of mayhem, but the story behind this indestructible Mopar involves secrets that even die-hard fans don't know. But why did Chrysler provide unlimited replacement cars while competitors refused? How did a compact muscle car survive jumps that should have totaled it instantly? And what's the truth behind the rumor that over 20 identical darts were destroyed during filming? These are 20 weird facts about Mannix's Dodge Dart GTS that will blow your mind. Number 20. Chrysler provided cars. Because of a $200 bet, the Dodge Dart's appearance on Mannix resulted from a $200 bar bet between a Chrysler executive and the show's producer. In 1967, Paramount producer Bruce Geller was drinking at Musso and Frank Grill in Hollywood when he mentioned needing cars for his new detective series. Ivan Wiles, a Chrysler marketing executive, was at the next table and overheard. Wiles bet Geller $200 that Chrysler could provide better cars than any competitor. Geller accepted, expecting Chrysler to offer standard sedans like other manufacturers provided to television productions. Instead, Wiles arrived at Paramount the next week with a bright red Dodge Dart GTS, a compact muscle car with a 383 cubic inch V8 producing 320 horsepower. The car was completely wrong for a detective show. It was too flashy, too aggressive, too obviously a performance vehicle. But Geller loved it immediately. The Dart's compact size would maneuver easily on Los Angeles streets during chase scenes. The powerful engine would provide genuine performance for stunts, and the distinctive styling would make the show visually memorable. Geller paid Wiles the $200 and signed a contract, giving Chrysler exclusive product placement rights on Mannix. Chrysler agreed to provide unlimited replacement vehicles as needed during filming. Nobody realized as needed would mean supplying over 20 darts during the show's 8-season run. That $200 bet became one of the most expensive wagers in Chrysler's history, costing them hundreds of thousands in destroyed vehicles. Number 19. The car was repainted weekly because red paint chips constantly. The Dart's distinctive bright red paint, officially called Hemi Orange, despite not having a Hemi engine, required constant maintenance. The color was Chrysler's boldest, most vibrant offering, perfect for television visibility. But the paint formula had a serious flaw. The bright pigments used to achieve that intense orange-red shade were softer than standard automotive paints. Any impact, even minor scrapes, would chip the paint down to primer. The cars looked terrible after just 1 week of filming. Chase scenes involved unavoidable contact with curbs, walls, and other vehicles. Each impact left white primer showing through the bright paint. Close-up shots revealed dozens of chips and scratches that ruined the car's pristine appearance. The production tried touch-up paint, but color matching was nearly impossible. Touch-ups appeared as dark spots against the faded paint, making the problem more obvious. The solution was weekly complete repaints during the first season. Every Friday after filming wrapped, the primary Dart went to a paint shop. Workers would wet sand the entire car, apply fresh paint, and have it ready for Monday filming. This schedule lasted 6 months before production accountants questioned the expense. Full automotive paint jobs cost $300 each. Weekly repainting meant over $15,000 annually, just maintaining the color. Chrysler suggested switching to a more durable paint, but the producers insisted on keeping the exact color for consistency. Eventually, they compromised, using a commercial truck paint formula that was more chip-resistant while maintaining the bright Hemi Orange appearance. This solved the chipping problem, but the new paint photographed slightly different, creating continuity issues between seasons. Number 18. Mike Connors destroyed 3 cars during driver training. Mike Connors had minimal performance driving experience when Mannix began production. He'd driven normal cars in previous roles, but never operated a high-performance muscle car. The Dart GTS's 320 horsepower overwhelmed him initially. Chrysler sent a professional stunt coordinator to teach Connors basic performance driving before filming started. The training lasted 2 weeks and went disastrously. During the first session, Connors misjudged the Dart's acceleration and crashed into a barrier at the Paramount driving course, crushing the front end. The car was totaled. Chrysler delivered a replacement the next day. During the second week, Connors attempted a high-speed turn and lost control, spinning into a ditch. The impact bent the frame, totaling the second car. Chrysler provided a third Dart, now questioning whether Connors could learn to drive competently. The third car lasted 4 days before Connors locked the brakes during a panic stop exercise, sliding into another training vehicle. Both cars were damaged beyond repair. After destroying 3 cars in 2 weeks, Chrysler executives considered pulling their support from the show. The insurance costs alone were astronomical, but the stunt coordinator convinced them that Connors was improving and just needed more practice. Chrysler agreed to continue, but assigned a dedicated stunt driver for all challenging driving scenes. Connors would drive only during simple, straight-line shots where his face was visible. This arrangement continued throughout the series. Most of the actual driving viewers see was performed by stunt drivers, not Connors. The 3 destroyed training cars never appeared on screen, making them television's most expensive practice vehicles. Number 17. The steering wheel was custom-made from wood and leather. The Dart's steering wheel wasn't standard Dodge equipment. It was a custom piece fabricated specifically for television visibility. The stock Dart steering wheel was plain black plastic with a simple horn button, completely uninteresting on camera. The producers wanted something with more visual appeal, something that would photograph well in close-ups. They commissioned a custom wheel from Superior Industries, a California company specializing in aftermarket steering wheels. Superior created a wood-rimmed wheel wrapped in leather with a brushed aluminum center. The wooden rim was laminated from multiple layers of walnut, giving it strength and a rich appearance. The leather wrapping was hand-stitched, with visible seams that added texture. The aluminum center featured a subtle Dodge logo etched into the surface. The custom wheel looked expensive and sophisticated, perfect for a successful private detective's car, but it created unexpected problems. The wood and leather combination was slippery when wet. During rain scenes, the wheel would become dangerously difficult to grip. Stunt drivers complained about their hands slipping during critical maneuvers. The production tried various solutions, including rosin powder and grip-enhancing gloves, but nothing worked satisfactorily. They eventually had Superior create a second wheel with a rougher leather texture that provided better grip in wet conditions. This wheel appeared in rain scenes, while the prettier original wheel was used in dry weather filming. Sharp-eyed viewers can spot the difference between the 2 wheels in different episodes. The custom wheels became so associated with Mannix that Dodge dealers received requests from customers wanting to purchase similar steering wheels for their personal Darts. Number 16. The suspension was modified so severely it rode like a truck. The Dart suspension underwent extreme modifications to survive the constant jumping and hard landings during filming. Stock Dart suspension couldn't withstand the abuse of television stunt work. The first unmodified car used in filming bottomed out during a simple curb jump, breaking both rear shocks and bending the rear axle housing. Chrysler's engineers realized standard suspension components would never survive. They developed a custom suspension package using heavy-duty components from Dodge's light truck division. The modifications included thick-walled shock absorbers rated for 3 times normal load, progressive rate coil springs with 50% higher spring rates, and reinforced control arms fabricated from thicker steel. The suspension modifications transformed the car's ride quality completely. The heavily sprung suspension was so stiff that driving over normal road imperfections became jarring. The car bounced and crashed over bumps that stock Darts would absorb smoothly. Interior shots during driving scenes show Mike Connors visibly bouncing in his seat from the harsh ride. Cast members complained about back pain and headaches after long days filming driving scenes in the brutally stiff cars. The modified suspension also raised the ride height by approximately 2 inches, giving the Dart an awkward, jacked-up appearance that didn't match stock Darts. This height difference is visible when comparing the Mannix Dart to civilian Darts in street scenes. The raised stance looked odd, but was necessary to provide adequate suspension travel for landing jumps. The truck-grade suspension proved durable, with some cars surviving multiple seasons of abuse without suspension failures, but at the cost of any resemblance to normal Dart ride quality. Number 15. The engine bay was filled with sound-deadening foam. The Dart's engine compartment was packed with acoustic foam, a modification that nearly caused catastrophic fires. The problem was engine noise bleeding into interior dialogue scenes. The 383 cubic inch V8 was loud, even at idle. During interior filming, with the engine running, dialogue was barely audible over mechanical noise. Sound technicians tried various microphone positions and filtering techniques, but nothing adequately reduced the engine sound. The solution was filling the engine bay with commercial sound-deadening foam. Technicians stuffed foam around the engine, against the firewall, and in every available gap. The foam reduced engine noise by approximately 40%, making dialogue recording possible. But foam near hot engines creates obvious fire hazards. The foam would melt from engine heat, dripping onto exhaust manifolds, where it would smoke and occasionally ignite. Multiple small fires occurred in the engine bay during the first season. Crew members kept fire extinguishers ready during all engine running scenes. The fires never spread beyond the engine compartment, but created terrifying moments. Chrysler's engineers warned that the foam modification was dangerous and recommended removing it. The production refused, insisting they needed the sound deadening for dialogue scenes. The compromise was switching to high-temperature foam designed for industrial applications. This foam resisted melting up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, much higher than the standard foam's 200-degree limit. The industrial foam was expensive, costing over $300 per engine bay installation. But it solved the fire problem while maintaining the sound-deadening properties needed for filming. Number 14. The rear seat was removed and replaced with camera equipment. The Dart's rear seat was completely removed from all production cars, replaced with camera mounting equipment and battery packs. The rear seat space became a mobile camera platform for interior dialogue shots. Removing the rear seat saved approximately 80 pounds, slightly improving acceleration. More importantly, it created room for a camera operator to crouch in the rear area during driving scenes, filming over the front seat toward the dashboard and windshield. This camera position created the distinctive interior driving shots that became Mannix's signature look. The removed rear seat left an exposed metal floor pan that was covered with rubber matting to reduce noise. Camera mounting brackets were bolted directly through this mat into the floor pan, creating permanent holes. Battery packs for portable lights were strapped to the floor where the rear seat had been. These batteries weighed over 100 pounds, partially offsetting the weight savings from the removed seat. The rear area became so cluttered with equipment that reinstalling the rear seat would have been impossible without extensive modifications. This created problems when scripts called for rear seat passengers. The production had to use different cars with intact rear seats for these scenes, creating subtle continuity errors. The rear seat delete is visible in certain exterior shots through the rear window, where viewers can see the empty rear area. Fan letters arrived, questioning why Mannix's Dart never had a rear seat. The production never acknowledged the modification publicly. When the series ended, the car's lack of rear seats made them less valuable to collectors since they couldn't be easily restored to stock configuration. Number 13. The transmission was replaced with a racing unit after 6 months. The Dart's stock TorqueFlite automatic transmission couldn't survive the show's demands. The 3-speed automatic was designed for normal street driving, not repeated full-throttle launches and high-speed runs. Within 6 months, every production Dart had experienced transmission failure. The stock transmission would overheat, causing the internal clutch packs to slip and eventually fail completely. Rebuilding transmissions became a weekly occurrence. Chrysler's solution was replacing the street transmissions with heavy-duty units from their racing program. These transmissions featured stronger clutch packs, improved cooling systems, and reinforced cases designed for drag racing abuse. The racing transmissions solved the reliability problems, but created new issues. They shifted much harder than stock units, with jarring gear changes that were uncomfortable for actors. Interior dialogue scenes would be interrupted by violent shift shock as the transmission slammed into gear. The hard shifts also made smooth driving nearly impossible. Stunt drivers adapted to the aggressive shift patterns, but Mike Connors struggled with the racing transmission during his limited driving scenes. The racing units also whined loudly in operation, a characteristic sound from their straight-cut gears. This whining was audible during interior scenes, requiring sound editors to filter it out in post-production. The transmission noise sometimes bled through the filtering, appearing as a distinctive, high-pitched whine in certain episodes. Despite these drawbacks, the racing transmissions proved incredibly durable. Some units survived multiple seasons without failure, finally providing the reliability the production needed. The transmission upgrade cost approximately $1,200 per car, but eliminated constant breakdowns. Number 12. The bumpers were reinforced with railroad steel. The Dart's front and rear bumpers were reinforced with railroad rail steel to survive constant impacts. Stock chrome bumpers were purely decorative, offering minimal protection. They would crumple during even minor collisions, requiring replacement after nearly every stunt. The production went through dozens of bumpers during the first season. Chrysler's engineers developed reinforced bumpers using sections of railroad rail steel. This material was chosen for its exceptional impact resistance. Railroad rails are designed to withstand millions of pounds of force from passing trains without deforming. The engineers cut sections of rail to match the bumper contours, then welded these steel sections inside the stock chrome bumpers. The reinforced bumpers weighed approximately 60 pounds each, compared to 15 pounds for stock bumpers. This added 130 pounds to the car's total weight, noticeably affecting acceleration and braking. The extra weight also shifted the car's balance, requiring suspension adjustments to maintain proper handling. The reinforced bumpers proved incredibly effective. They could absorb impacts that would total stock bumpers, protecting the car's structure. Stunt drivers would deliberately ram obstacles, knowing the bumpers could take the punishment. However, the reinforcements created a safety concern. In pedestrian accidents, the steel reinforced bumpers would cause more severe injuries than stock bumpers. Modern safety regulations would never permit such modifications. The railroad steel bumpers became a closely guarded secret. Chrysler never publicized them, fearing liability issues. Only after the series ended did engineers reveal the modification in automotive trade publications, explaining how they'd kept the Mannix darts operational through extreme abuse. Number 11. The car had no functioning heater or air conditioning. The Dart's climate control system was completely removed to save weight and create engine bay space. The heater core, heater box, air conditioning compressor, and all associated ducting were stripped out. This modification saved approximately 40 pounds and created valuable space for other equipment modifications. The weight savings improved acceleration slightly, and the simplified engine bay made maintenance easier, but it created terrible working conditions for actors. Los Angeles summers reach over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Without air conditioning, the Dart's interior became unbearable during filming. Metal surfaces too hot to touch, steering wheel burning hands, seats cooking actors. Mike Connors would emerge from the car drenched in sweat after brief filming sessions. Winter presented different problems. Los Angeles winters are mild, but early morning filming sometimes occurred in 40-degree temperatures. Without heat, the car's interior was freezing. Actors wore heavy coats between takes, removed just before the cameras rolled. Their visible breath during winter dialogue scenes created continuity problems, as scenes supposedly occurring during warm California days showed breath vapor. The production tried various solutions. They placed portable fans in the car between takes during the summer. They ran portable heaters aimed at the interior during winter. Neither solution worked well. The fans were too weak to counter the summer heat. The heaters couldn't warm the metal-intensive interior adequately. Ultimately, actors simply endured the discomfort as part of the job. Climate control became one of the many comforts sacrificed for the demanding filming schedule. Modern viewers watching Mannix can sometimes see the actors' obvious discomfort during extreme temperature filming days. Number 10. The original gold stripes were hand-painted daily. The Dart's distinctive gold racing stripes weren't vinyl decals, but hand-painted lines applied fresh before each filming day. Chrysler initially installed factory-applied vinyl stripes, but these proved inadequate for television. The vinyl would peel from impacts, fade from sunlight exposure, and look dull under studio lighting. After 3 weeks, the stripes looked terrible in close-up shots. The solution was hiring a professional pinstriper named Von Dutch, legendary for custom automotive artwork. Von Dutch created a gold paint formula that photographed brilliantly under lights. Every morning before filming, he'd hand-paint fresh stripes on whichever Dart was being used that day. The process took 90 minutes per car. Von Dutch would tape guidelines, mix his custom gold paint, then apply perfectly straight stripes freehand using a specialized brush. The fresh paint remained tacky throughout filming, requiring careful handling to avoid smudges. By evening, the stripes were scratched and damaged from the day's stunts. Von Dutch would strip them off and start fresh the next morning. This daily ritual continued for 2 seasons, until Von Dutch became too expensive and busy with other projects. The production switched to high-quality vinyl stripes that approximated his gold color. But automotive enthusiasts noticed the change immediately. The hand-painted stripes had unique depth and brilliance that vinyl couldn't match. Episodes from the first 2 seasons show noticeably superior stripe quality compared to later seasons. Number 9. The brakes failed completely during 3 major stunts. The Dart experienced catastrophic brake failure during 3 separate high-profile stunts, nearly killing stunt drivers. Despite upgraded suspension and transmission, the production used stock brake systems. The front disc and rear drum configuration was adequate for street driving, but insufficient for repeated high-speed stops. During a Season 2 chase scene, stunt driver Kerry Lofton attempted a high-speed stop from 80 miles per hour. The brakes faded completely, the pedal going to the floor with no response. Lofton couldn't slow the car and crashed through a wooden fence, narrowly missing crew members. The brake fluid had boiled from repeated hard stops, creating vapor pockets in the lines. Season 4 brought another failure during a downhill chase. The rear drum brakes overheated and glazed, losing all friction. The driver used engine braking and the emergency brake to slow, barely avoiding a serious crash. The third incident was the worst. Season 6 filming involved multiple takes of a parking garage jump. After 5 takes, the brake pads were completely worn to the metal backing plates. The driver didn't realize this until attempting to stop after the 6th jump. With no brakes, the car crashed into concrete barriers at 40 miles per hour. The driver survived with minor injuries, but Chrysler finally agreed to install racing brake systems. The upgraded brakes featured larger rotors, 6-piston calipers, and racing pads designed for sustained abuse. No further brake failures occurred, but 3 near-death experiences proved how dangerous the production's cost-cutting had been. Number 8. The dashboard ignition was rewired to the floor. The Dart's ignition system was relocated from the dashboard to a floor-mounted switch for quick engine starts during filming. Standard ignition procedures required inserting a key, turning it to accessory position, then cranking. This multi-step process wasted time during rapid-fire filming schedules. The production needed instant engine starts for scenes requiring the car to suddenly roar to life. Chrysler's technicians installed a commercial fleet start system, moving the ignition to a heavy-duty toggle switch mounted on the transmission tunnel. Flipping this switch bypassed all safety interlocks and started the engine immediately. The dashboard ignition remained in place but was disconnected, serving only as a visual prop for close-up shots. The floor-mounted switch allowed stunt drivers to start the car in under 1 second, dramatically speeding up filming. However, the modification created safety hazards. The switch had no key, meaning anyone could start the car. Between takes, crew members had to guard the car constantly to prevent theft or unauthorized starting. The instant start capability also eliminated safety features like the neutral safety switch. The car could be started while in gear, lurching forward unexpectedly. This happened twice, with the unmanned car jumping forward and hitting equipment. After the second incident, production instituted strict protocols requiring the transmission to be verified in park before anyone approached the floor switch. The modification saved countless hours during filming, but created risks that modern productions would never accept. Number 7. The fuel lines were rerouted outside the car. The Dart's fuel lines were moved from their protected factory routing under the car to external positions along the rocker panels. This bizarre modification addressed fire safety concerns after a serious on-set accident. During Season 1 filming, a curb impact ruptured the stock fuel line, spraying gasoline under the car. The hot exhaust system ignited the fuel, creating a fireball that engulfed the Dart. The stunt driver escaped uninjured, but the car burned completely. Chrysler's engineers analyzed the incident and determined that protected internal fuel routing made leaks difficult to detect and dangerous when they occurred. Their solution was running braided stainless steel fuel lines along the outside of the car, where they were visible and accessible. The external lines could be inspected visually before each stunt and would leak away from hot components if damaged. The modification worked from a safety perspective, preventing further fires. But it looked terrible and created new problems. The exposed fuel lines were vulnerable to impact damage during stunts. They were crushed several times by curb strikes, requiring replacement. The visible fuel lines also looked unprofessional in close-up shots, like amateur hot rod modifications. Cinematographers framed shots carefully to hide the external plumbing. The fuel line routing became one of many compromises between safety, functionality, and appearance. production accepted the ugly modification because it prevented injuries, prioritizing crew safety over automotive aesthetics. Modern viewers rarely notice the external fuel lines unless specifically looking for them. Number 6. The tires were filled with nitrogen and replaced every 3 days. The Dart's tires were filled with pure nitrogen instead of air, and required replacement every 72 hours. Standard air-filled tires couldn't handle the extreme heat generated during high-speed filming. The violent driving caused excessive tire flex, building heat that would increase air pressure dangerously. Several tires exploded during early filming, creating hazardous blowouts at speed. Nitrogen doesn't expand as much as air when heated, providing more consistent tire pressure under extreme conditions. Chrysler switched all production Darts to nitrogen inflation, reducing blowout risk significantly. But nitrogen couldn't solve the fundamental problem of tire wear. The aggressive driving wore tires at an astonishing rate. Tires rated for 40,000 miles of normal driving lasted 3 days of Mannix filming. The constant burnouts, hard cornering, and curb strikes destroyed the tire tread rapidly. Goodyear supplied tires free to the production in exchange for product placement, delivering fresh sets 3 times weekly. The tire replacement schedule became routine. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, technicians would mount fresh tires on all production cars. The removed tires, barely worn by normal standards, were discarded. Some had less than 500 miles, but were considered unsafe for stunt work. The production went through over 1,500 tires during the series run, an astronomical number for just a handful of cars. Modern productions use specially designed stunt tires that last longer, but 1960s tire technology couldn't withstand Mannix's demands without frequent replacement. Number 5. The windows were replaced with sugar glass for crash scenes. The Dart's windows were frequently replaced with breakaway sugar glass for crash sequences and fight scenes. Standard automotive glass was too dangerous for stunts involving window breakage. Real glass creates sharp shards that could seriously injure stunt performers. Sugar glass, made from heated sugar solution poured into molds, shatters into harmless granules that won't cut skin. The production kept molds of all the Dart's window shapes for casting replacement sugar glass panels. Before any stunt requiring window breakage, technicians would remove the real glass and install sugar substitutes. The sugar windows looked identical to glass on camera, but were much safer for performers. However, sugar glass created unique problems. It was hygroscopic, meaning it absorbed moisture from the air. Los Angeles's humidity would make sugar windows cloudy and weak within hours. Windows installed in the morning would be unusable by afternoon, dissolving into sticky syrup. The production learned to install sugar windows immediately before filming and remove them afterward. Rain scenes were impossible with sugar glass, as water would literally dissolve the windows during filming. The sugar windows were also expensive, costing $80 each compared to $30 for real automotive glass, but safety justified the cost. The production used over 200 sugar glass windows throughout the series, preventing countless injuries. After crash scenes, crew members would sweep up the sugar fragments. Some people tasted them, confirming they were actually sugar. The sweet debris became a running joke on set. Number 4. The spare tire well contained a roll cage. The Dart's trunk contained a hidden partial roll cage that viewers never saw. After several accidents where the roof crushed inward during rollovers, Chrysler's engineers insisted on safety improvements. Full roll cages were impossible without destroying the interior appearance, but they could hide a protective structure in the trunk. Fabricators welded a partial cage consisting of 2 hoops and connecting bars in the spare tire well area. The cage attached to reinforced mounting points on the frame rails. Heavy steel plates were welded to the underside of the rear roof section, connecting to the hidden cage bars. This created a protective structure that would prevent roof collapse during rollovers while remaining completely invisible. The trunk floor panel covered the cage, and the spare tire fit in a modified position. The hidden cage added 120 pounds to the rear of the car, affecting weight distribution significantly. The rear heavy balance made the Dart prone to oversteer, requiring suspension retuning to compensate. Stunt drivers noticed the changed handling characteristics immediately. The car felt heavier and less responsive than earlier non-caged Darts, but the safety benefits proved valuable. During a Season 5 rollover stunt, the Dart flipped 3 times. The roof showed minor denting but didn't collapse into the passenger compartment. The stunt driver walked away uninjured. protected by a structure he couldn't even see. The hidden cage represented production's growing awareness of safety after several close calls with earlier unprotected cars. Number 3. Mike Connors kept one Dart, but it was stolen and never recovered. Mike Connors purchased one of the surviving Darts when Mannix ended in 1975. He'd driven the car for 8 years and wanted a memento of the show that made him famous. Chrysler sold him a primary hero car for $1,500, far below market value. Connors kept the Dart at his Los Angeles home, occasionally driving it to car shows and promotional events. Fans were thrilled to see the actual Mannix car, and Connors enjoyed the attention. He maintained it carefully, keeping it in show condition. In 1983, Connors took the Dart to a classic car show in Pasadena. He parked it in the designated participant area and walked around viewing other vehicles. When he returned 2 hours later, the Dart was gone. Someone had hot-wired and stolen it in broad daylight from a secured show area. Connors was devastated. He reported the theft to the police, who investigated but found no leads. The distinctive car should have been easy to identify, but it never surfaced. Theories about its fate ranged from being immediately disassembled for parts to being repainted and hidden in a private collection. Some believe it was stolen specifically because of its Mannix connection by an obsessed fan. Others think thieves had no idea what they'd stolen and abandoned it when they realized its notoriety. Decades passed without any sightings. Connors mentioned the theft in interviews, expressing hope it would someday reappear. He died in 2017, never seeing his Dart again. The stolen car remains one of television's most wanted missing vehicles. Number 2. The engine compartment was fireproofed after 4 engine fires. The Dart suffered 4 separate engine fires during production, prompting extensive fireproofing modifications. The fires resulted from multiple ignition sources in the cramped, hot engine bay. Leaking fuel lines, oil seepage onto hot exhaust manifolds, and electrical shorts all contributed. The first fire occurred during Season 1, when a fuel line vibrated loose, spraying gasoline onto the exhaust. The engine bay erupted in flames before the crew extinguished it. The second fire was electrical, caused by frayed wiring touching the exhaust. The third involved oil dripping onto headers during a jump landing. The fourth fire was most serious, starting in the sound-deadening foam despite the high-temperature upgrade. After the fourth incident, production halted while Chrysler implemented comprehensive fireproofing. Technicians wrapped exhaust manifolds in heat-reflective tape that reduced radiant heat by 60%. They installed fireproof sleeves on all fuel and oil lines. Electrical wiring received high-temperature insulation, rated for 500 degrees. Metal heat shields were fabricated to separate hot components from potential fuel sources. Fire suppression became mandatory, with small extinguishers mounted in each engine bay, connected to pull cables in the driver's compartment. These modifications added 35 pounds and cost over $800 per car, but they worked. No engine fires occurred after the fireproofing installation, despite continued abuse of the vehicles. The safety improvements came at significant cost and weight penalty, but prevented a potential tragedy. Modern productions fireproof stunt vehicles from the beginning, learning from incidents like Mannix's repeated engine fires. Number 1. 23 Darts were destroyed and only 1 survived. The production destroyed 23 Dodge Dart GTS models during Mannix's 8-season run, with only 1 known survivor. Chrysler initially provided 2 cars, expecting them to last the series. Both were totaled within 6 months. Chrysler kept replacing them as they were destroyed, eventually losing count of how many they'd supplied. Insurance records later confirmed 23 vehicles were written off as total losses. The destruction rate averaged nearly 3 cars per season. Some lasted months, others just days, before catastrophic damage rendered them unrepairable. Rollovers, head-on collisions, and hard jumps all contributed to the carnage. The financial loss was staggering. Each Dart cost Chrysler approximately $3,500. 23 cars totaled over $80,000 in destroyed vehicles, not counting parts and maintenance, but Chrysler considered it worthwhile marketing. Mannix popularized the Dart among younger buyers who wanted cars like the TV detective drove. Dart sales increased significantly during Mannix's run, more than offsetting the destroyed vehicle's cost. When the series ended, most surviving cars were in poor condition. Chrysler reclaimed them, crushing several and selling others as parts donors. Only 1 car was preserved, the primary hero car used for close-ups and minimal stunt work. This survivor went to Chrysler's historical collection, later transferred to a private museum. It's the sole remaining authentic Mannix Dart from the production, making it extraordinarily valuable. The other 22 cars exist only in episodes and memories. Outro. Mannix's Dodge Dart GTS proved that television's toughest detective needed television's toughest car. From 23 destroyed vehicles to hidden railroad steel bumpers, this muscle car earned its legendary status through genuine abuse. Mike Connors didn't just drive a Dart, he destroyed an entire fleet, one spectacular crash at a time.